Hello, everybody. Here we are today with the Funeral Professional Peer Support, and we are here with Elizabeth Manley, Canada's sweetheart, silver medalist in the '88 Olympics, recipient of the Order of Canada, and a mental health leader and advocate. Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
It's truly my pleasure. Thank you, Christina.
So let's start where you're at now. Why don't we do that?
Okay. Oh, where do I even start? Do we have 3 hours? No. you know, my life has really taken it's been a journey. It's taken a lot. Everybody knows me as the Olympic figure skater, Elizabeth Manley, and everything. But a lot happened to me after the Olympics. I spent 20 years on the road as a professional doing, tours and shows and things like that. But then I found myself in a place where I realized I was becoming an adult and I didn't have my entourage of taking care of me and things like that. And I really wanted to figure out what I want to do with my life. And one of the things that I've been doing, it's got to be over almost, I hate to say it, 30 years now, but I've been an active speaker, advocate for mental health. I've been very open about my life and everything I've been through. And I found the more that I was doing that, it wasn't only therapeutic for me, but I realized the impact it was having on people. And then I was going through some difficult times. I had spent some time in Toronto and I was going through some difficult times. And my husband said, I want you to go to a life coach. I want you to go see somebody. And I'm used to going to psychologists and things like that, when things are, in a good place with me. So I went to a life coach and I spent about an hour and a half with her. And I went outside, I sat on the curb and I literally cried for a half an hour. I couldn't even get in my car. I realized so much about myself. And sometimes we need to take that step back to realize what do we value in life and what do we want to do in life. And the one thing that really connected with me through this session with her was I love helping people. I love working with people. I love people that can kind of embrace my story and feel like they can conquer the world and they can do anything. And so I went back to school and I got all my certification for executive life coaching and performance coaching. And this is what I've been doing now, along with my speaking. And I'm still, I still have my feet in figure skating a little bit. I don't want people to panic and go, what? So I'm still doing some coaching, but that's what I'm doing now. And I've been working with, numerous clients, as well as I actually just finished a contract with the Ottawa Police. I was working with Ottawa Police, and
Wonderful.
That was very interesting to me to help these individuals, understand they're bringing work home, or some of the horrific things that they might see on the job, and just helping them. And problem is they all got really well quick. So my contract is now done because all 40 police officers feel like they can conquer the world, which is also very gratifying to me that I could help them. And, the notes that I still get from them is thank you so much. Some of the tools you've given me and things so that's where I am today, and just living life in a completely different way. I'm living my life very spiritual, very mindful, really connecting with me. I feel that our lives for the last 3 years have really been turned upside down for everybody. And I found myself falling a little bit into that trap where I was feeling negative and I was feeling depressed and I was feeling frustrated with life and things like that. So I started to really live my life in a mindful way. Actually, I've taken a break from social media for a while. I'm growing my own vegetables. I'm living mindful. So really, that's where Liz Manley is today, and just enjoying working with people and being with people and helping them through these unprecedented times that we're going through right now.
Exactly. And the toll on the mental health of the world during this time. So
it really has been. And, I'm in Ottawa, and, we just had a lot of things happen in our city, the truckers convoy,
yes.
the anti-vax, all these things. And I have to tell you the toll that it takes on people. It's mind-boggling, and it's not only in adults, but it's in the kids as well. Like, I still coach skating, and I still can't believe in this day and age that I'm working with kids that are still suffering from bullying and everything that goes on. And but I'm really trying to stay positive and focused for everybody, around me, and family and friends and students and clients, whatever it might be. But yeah, it's very disturbing, what's going on in our world today. And it's heartbreaking. It really is.
It is. It is. So this is where you've arrived. And of course you did, because that's who you are, right? So we're going to step back for a moment, but I'm going to share now. This is the time I think that we talked where, as we go back, 1988, this is about you, but I'm going to share that little piece of how you inspired me. I was a young, brand new funeral director, graduated in June, green, green, green. And you and Princess Diana were my mentors. There you were. And I can picture, and I remember you biting the medal.
Mhm.
You were so big, no bigger than a minute. You were in that bright pink costume, and you skated, and I could not believe your power. I wanted to reach through the TV screen. I almost felt, I have goosebumps just thinking about you and that power that you sent out. You were a beacon then, and nobody knew your story.
No one knew it. Yep.
Nope. And here you are now, this same person who's evolved and changed, and your beacon of light is still there. That's you.
Yeah. It really is. I think I was raised that way as well. I had probably the most amazing mother a girl could have. She was my best friend. We were inseparable. Like, I didn't even consider her my mom. She was my best friend.
Oh,
And she always said to me, Christine, I have to tell you this. She always would come in, every so often, and she said, "The day you change is the day I'm taking you out of the sport."
ah,
And she instilled that in me. She didn't want me to become this stuck up, it's all about me athlete, oh, look at, I'm an Olympian, and all this. I keep my medal in a drawer. It's just like, I'm just so normal. And i have I have made that my life. I don't want people to treat me any differently. I don't want people to look at me like I'm better than them, because we're all equal. We really are. And whether you're an athlete, whether you're an employee, whether you may work in the funeral homes, let's say, we're all equal. And I think people tend to see people like myself like untalkable, untouchable. We can't,
right.
we'll never meet her, we'll never this. I'm just not that way. And I'm so grateful to my family for keeping me level-headed, and just live life for what it is, and things like that. And I think everything that I went through in my career really taught me the importance of life and how short it can be. We can get into this, but I had a horrible 5 years, or actually no, 3 years, about 5 years ago, and I had a tremendous amount of loss in my life, and I found myself rock bottom again.
Oh my God.
And one of the biggest questions I get from people is, would I turn the clocks back at all in my career, having gone through depression and everything that I went through? Would I ever have changed the clocks back and made different decisions? And I can tell you right now that what happened to me was the best thing that ever happened to me. And a lot of people won't understand that. Like, why would you say, losing all your hair and going through depression and quitting skating and giving up all your dreams and everything that happened to you, why would you never change that? And I think it's because it really taught me who the person was in me. And when I came back to my sport, I came back with a true passion and a true love for it.
Okay.
I refuse to make it a job. And that's what I do with employees today. We can't look at things as, oh, it's a job, right? I got to go in and make my paycheck. You have to love what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to have that passion. And when you do, that's when successes follow. And 4 years before the Calgary Olympics, I was at the lowest point of my life. I was suicidal. Everything, all my dreams were gone. And 4 years later, I was standing on the podium and having one of the greatest moments of my life. And it goes to show that if you reconnect with yourself and your love for whatever you're doing and whatever you may want to pursue or have a passion for, success follows. And I think I'm the poster child for that. And so it makes me teary when you say that I had such an impact on you, because that's what I had hoped for. We've always said that my medal, and here we are.
Oh my gosh.
So we've always said that my medal
Amazing.
is a gold medal in life to the Manley family. Please don't get me wrong. I love the fact that I won an Olympic medal, and it was a lot of hard work and a lot of,
Yes.
grit and grind, but it's so much more to me and my family, and we call it a gold medal in life. And I truly believe everybody on this planet can have a gold medal in life. It's what they believe in, and it's having compassion and respect for what you're doing and loving what you're doing. And if you're not loving what you're doing, go after what you want to love, what you want to do. And I think in this day and age, people are too scared to make changes in their life and to pursue, or they almost feel guilty being happy.
Yes.
If that makes sense. But people, sometimes they're not exuberant like you think, like you see me as, because they're afraid, because there's so many people that aren't in that place, and they don't want to hurt people's feelings, things like that. I'm not sure if that makes all sense to you, but
No, it does. It keeps people stuck.
it really does. And every single person, I do so much speaking. I speak to schools. I actually just spoke to bereavement, how do you say it?
Bereaved Families of Ontario.
Bereavement family, yeah, day. So I talk to so many individuals and so many groups, and it's like a light bulb will go off in their head. She's right. I should go after what I want, or I should be happy, or I should not be afraid to take a day off for myself, a mental health day, things like that. And this is where I come in and I try to tell people, I had to do that, Christina. I had to say, sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and go, I got to take it off. I'm not going to be productive today. I'm not
Right.
going to be able to help anybody today. I need a Liz day. And we all need to do that. And when we start living our lives like that, we actually get more energy, and we actually are more successful in whatever we're challenging ourselves with.
Like, and especially in our field of funeral directing, like police or being a nurse or firefighter, funeral directors give so much at such a terrible time in a family's life.
Oh,
right. And it's a privilege, and we really need to restore ourselves.
you really do, because I've always said this: if you're not in a good place, you're not going to help others. And especially in your industry, right, you are dealing with a very high level of emotion, high level of grieving, trying to help people during possibly one of the hardest times in their lives, right? And so it is important that, especially in your field, no matter what area in your field, directors, employees, whatever it may be, you've really got to be able to be in a place where you are compassionate and you are able to help others. And if you're overworked or overstressed or just living in silence, we all tend to keep our stuff inside, right, and keep it to ourselves. But there will always be that day where it will boil over, and then you've put yourself in a situation where, how did I let myself get there? Why did I do that? And it might not be in a proper atmosphere where it happens, right? And just frustration, exhaustion, tiredness. Mental health is probably one of the most important things that we need to take care of today, especially in your industry, because of what you're dealing with every day. And my heart goes out to all funeral directors, because it's got to be one of the toughest jobs. I've experienced a tremendous amount of loss over the last few years, and it's one of those emotions that's one of the hardest things to get over and
Mhm.
to deal with. And you know, my respect for your industry is, you know, more than Olympic medal. You know, just what you do. And, you know, I'm grateful for each and every one of you.
Thank you for that. On behalf of all funeral directors, I'm happy to say that, and I'm hugging you extra.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm
Thank you.
I'm wondering a couple of things. When did you develop compassion for yourself? And you don't have to share, it's up to you how much. That four
Oh,
years before the Olympics, what was depression and anxiety like for you, and how did you get through that?
well, you know, I was young. I was 16, and
So
I
young.
was, yeah, you know, in those days, 16 I thought was old, but it is very young when I look
Yeah.
back now as an adult. And, you know, I had a lot of things happen to me very quickly. You know, my parents got divorced, my brothers were off playing, you know, hockey, you know, billeted in different cities. My mom struggled to keep me in an elite sport. And you know, I was in my era of skating. It was very tough. We had a really tough era of skating, very strict. I was trained never to show any emotions. I was trained never to express myself. And the reason for that training was because we never wanted anybody to see us weak. We wanted us to see that
Right.
tough, you know, tough girl, and never show your competitors that you're, you know, suffering from something. And suddenly I became the national champion of Canada, and that Olympic dream started to float around as a reality, as it could happen for me now. And what ended up happening was my coach took quite ill, and didn't want me to know how ill he was. He was diagnosed with AIDS, and in those days AIDS
Right.
didn't even have a name, right? And he loved me so much that he gave me an excuse that he felt he wasn't good enough to take me any further in my sport, which I knew was a lie, because in 3, 4 years, he had taken me from this little girl from Trenton, Ontario on the air base to a national champion, right? When I moved to Ottawa. And I remember looking at him very confused, like, what do you mean you're not good enough? Look what you've done with me. You know, you've made my dreams, you're making my dreams come true. And so he didn't tell us that he was ill because he didn't want me to experience it. He didn't want me to go through it. So it was a very
Nice.
compassionate move. But at that moment for me, I was not understanding. I was confused. And I remember when we left his place, when he said he couldn't coach me anymore, things started to come out of me in the car. I said to my mom, did I not train hard? Did I not win enough medals? Did I not do well in school? Was he unhappy with me? And apparently, my mom always told me, I turned to her and I said, this is why dad left too, right?
Oh my gosh, you personalized it all. Ah,
And my mom just,
oh,
what? So she pulled the car over. She, don't ever think that we got divorced because of you. But here I was, a 16-year-old girl holding all these feelings in. I was seeing my mother going into debt to let me go after my dream. I was seeing people leaving me, my brothers, my dad. And when I say my dad left, he took a posting to Europe. So I didn't get to see him at all.
okay.
And so my coach became that father figure. I
Yeah.
really needed a father figure in my life. And so when he left, it was like my life just fell apart. And kind of a very long story short, Skate Canada jumped in and said, we're going to send you somewhere to train. We're going to help you out financially. And so that was when I was sent to the US, and
Okay.
that was scary. You know, in those days, I thought the US was this thousands of miles away. It was this weird country, which it is today, but that's another whole thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I would say? It's a weird country now, but you know, so it took a lot on me. And within 3 months of training there, I called my mom, and you know, I started to tell her that I was putting a lot of weight on. She wanted to know what I was eating. And I said, that's the thing, I'm eating normal. If not, I'm not eating at all, because my coach keeps telling me I'm overweight. I'm overweight.
Oh,
He's training me and he's training me. And she said, okay, well, I'll come down the weekend to see you. And I said, and another thing before you hang up is I think I'm losing my hair. And to make a very long story short, in the next 2 months, my mom got me back to Canada. I went from doctor to doctor to doctor. And in that couple weeks of being home, going through multiple tests, I gained another 25 pounds in water retention, and I went completely bald. And then I got into a specialist. Yeah. And I was diagnosed with anxiety, very severe depression, and a nervous breakdown.
Oh, Elizabeth.
And this is the thing with mental health, is the first thing that came out of my mother's mouth was, that's impossible. There's no history of mental health in our family.
Right.
But Christina, I look back now, and there was, you know, I look back now and I wish I had been the person I am today, because there was a lot of depression in my mom. And I was too young to recognize it. I was too young to recognize it in myself.
Right.
And so, you know, that was one thing I wanted to state. So here I am sitting on the side of my bed at 16 years old, bald, 50 pounds in water retention. I can't even put jewelry on and nothing, you know, I was just swollen.
Oh my God.
And I was diagnosed with this. And I have to share with our viewers that my thoughts at that moment, being alone in my bedroom, looking at myself in a mirror, was the world would be better without me. And the reason that I felt that was because I had not only let my coaches down, I had let my mom down, I had let my family down, I had let the figure skating world down, because I couldn't skate anymore. That was the end of my career.
Oh my gosh.
But the hardest thing for me to grasp was I felt like I let a country down.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
picture being 16 years old and
Yeah.
thinking that you just let an entire country down. Because I was their, like you said, their little sweetheart, and I was the up and coming, and I was going, you know, possibly going to go to Olympics and everything like that. And here I was. And without the help of somebody reaching out to us, financially, we couldn't afford therapy. It was just my mom and me. She was in debt already from skating. She was working 2 jobs. You know, there was a lot of guilt that I was feeling. And I didn't want to do drug therapy that was offered to me, because being the athlete I was drug tested all the time. And even though I was, even though I was committing to not skating anymore, there was still that little thing in my head going, what if you go back? You know, you can't be on medication. You can't, you know, it's so severe, the drug testing in sport today. And but we got that call from somebody, and he wanted to help me pro bono. He wanted to, he believed, he believed in me. It was Dr. Terry Orlick from the Ottawa University. And not only was he one of, you know, the planet's best sports psychologists that I believe ever existed, but he was also a psychologist. And so my mom begged me to go to one session, and I have to share with you, I said no. I said no. I really believe no one could help me, and I really believe that it was done. My life was over. You know, it was everything I thought my life was going to be was just taken away from me. And when I saw the tears in my mom's eyes, I agreed to go to one session, and that turned into 10, that turned into hundreds, that turned into 4 years. And that turned into me standing on the podium in Calgary.
Oh my gosh.
And, you know, and that's why I call my Olympic medal a gold medal in life, because I learned so much about myself, you know, getting that help. And people are afraid to reach out for help. You know, they don't want that judgment. They don't know how it works. They don't understand. But it is the best thing out there, as you know. I mean, this is what you do.
This is my work.
And it is. And, you know, I found myself only a couple months ago. I was feeling really down. What did I do? I reached out for help. And you know what? And I'm not ashamed to say I take therapy. I'm a life coach. But life coaches need help too, you know, at times, right? Because we're like, funeral directors, we're taking on everybody's emotions, everybody's feelings, right? So I knew that I need to get myself in a better place for my clients,
Right.
right?
Yep. And
So
for yourself.
absolutely, absolutely. And it might be only 2 or 3 sessions, and it's like topping off your gas tank,
Exactly, like a
I
tune-up.
feel good. I feel good and I feel full again. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's what I try to tell people. Don't be afraid to reach out for help, because we keep it inside. We are wired as human beings to gravitate to negativity. Why do you think the news starts with all the bad stories? Because it sucks you in, it draws you in.
Right.
That's how we're wired, right? And it's not a healthy way to live.
No.
And I'm an example, right? And so, when I won the medal that night, and just with your compliments to me, that's what it was about for me that night. I stood on that podium for every single person that has suffered in silence and that has been afraid and doesn't understand. That's what I did. And I was the pioneer athlete to come out with my story, right? But I have to share with you, it was years before people really started to listen. They didn't want to put Canada's sweetheart and mental health in the same sentence. The stigma in the 80s was probably at its highest, right? And, so I am grateful to be in this day being able to talk about this and to be in a place where I can take my experiences and work it into sharing tools with people on how to get through things. And at 16 years old, I wanted to take my own life. I thought I was the biggest disappointment to this country. And that's a lot. And if I can get through that, and that's why when I go through difficult times now, I reach back to those days.
Yes, there you are, 16. How many 16-year-olds now kind of get stuck, and your mom stayed with you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I was grateful for, though, is we didn't have social media. We didn't have all that back in those days.
Right.
I do not know how some kids can get through some of the rough times in this day and age with social media because of internet bullying, things like that. I mean, it's scary. I've been bullied on internet as an adult, and it's devastating.
Oh my
I
God.
kind of I feel like I hyperventilate. I'm like, what did I do? It's kind of
Shocking. It's shocking.
yeah, it is shocking. But this is the whole thing about people hiding behind screens, right? They think
Yes.
they get their digs and stuff like that. So I've learned, as I just said to you, as we're talking right now, I'm taking a social media break. I've deactivated my accounts and I've made a commitment for at least 2-3 weeks because
Okay.
I need a break. I need
Yeah.
to just stay where I am. And it's healthy to do that. Don't be afraid to do things like that. I always say as a life coach, every spring you need to purge. You need to purge your closets, you need to purge your refrigerators, you need to purge clothes, household items. The other thing, you need to purge your friends.
Interesting.
You need to take that time and say, is this person, do they match my values in life? Are they in a good place? Or am I just taking on their negativity? And I'm not living happy because I'm taking on their things. So, I do that every spring. I'll go through my friends list or whatever, and I'll go, this person stresses me out. I'm going to take a break, and you can't be afraid of, I'm one of these people, right? I want everybody to be happy, right? But sometimes you've got to put yourself first. And that's hard to do. That's very hard to do.
It is.
But if you put yourself first, everybody around you is happy.
Right. Feeding yourself first, oxygen first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry, that was a long-winded.
No, I appreciate that. Hearing that from you with that lived experience, that unless people have read your books, they don't know that that's how devastating things were for you.
And I do have to share with you the main book, Thumbs Up, which was my original book. When I got that book back, there you go. When I got that book back, a lot of my story was missing. And I remember saying, why was this missing? Or why was that missing? And back in 1988, the response I got was, people aren't ready to hear that.
Oh, so they edited out parts of
They
your,
edited out a lot of
oh
like
my
intense
goodness.
things, right? And I was like, but I want people to know the truth. I want people to know the whole story, right? And they're like, it won't sell. It's just, it's too much. They just want to remember you as Canada's sweetheart with a little hat and all that, right? And I remember thinking, wow, there's the stigma right there, right?
Yes,
And there was not much I could do, right? Because even my agent at the time said,
right,
yeah, they might be right, and so forth, right? Meanwhile, he's representing Tanya Harding, so I'm like, really?
right,
you know it's
right.
like, but this is why I'm grateful, Christina, for people like you, and for people that I get this opportunity to talk, because if it even helps just one person that's listening to you and I right now, that's all that matters. And that was a big thing. I remember my father saying, why would you want to write about this? And I said, and right there, it's my own father, right? And I said, you don't get what I'm trying to do. I want people to understand. And I think if more athletes, for instance, had a grasp onto my story, we might have seen much more improvement quicker in the athletic world. We are now seeing all these athletes coming out, and Carey Prices, and
Yes,
Phil Kinlaw, and people like that. We're seeing a tremendous, because now we finally are having the conversation. But think about it, Christina. I tried to do that in '88.
right. You are a pioneer. You,
It's 2022 now, and we're just now having the conversation.
I know, and at this rate, we won't get to where we need to be for like 300 years, but we're getting there. And
We are, yeah.
you are, and I sound like a bumper sticker, but you are a champion on the ice and off.
Thank you.
And you've
And
got that
that's
determination.
yeah, it warms my heart when I'll do an event or something, and people are now starting to, you know, um, talk about me or introduce me as an advocate for off ice. That makes me feel, yes, because that's all I've ever wanted to be, is just, I've wanted to mean something to people. I want people to, listen and understand and appreciate. I'm so grateful, as I said, for this, because this has given me that platform
Right.
to be a voice. If I have to use an Olympic medal, I'm going to do it if it's going to help people. And the night that medal was put on my neck, as I said, it was so much more to me. The tears, the reactions, everything you saw, it had to do with so much of what I had been through and how I want to change people's lives. And it was a stepping stone for really what I'm passionate about in life. My best friend in life was my mom, and she passed away of ovarian cancer. And I jumped right in to make a difference for ovarian cancer. I was the first one to help create the Walk of Hope, all these things, right? And, each and every person in life, if you're in a position where you can make a difference, it is so therapeutic, and it is just empowering. And each person should experience that, whether it's volunteering, whether it's spending time, working at the funeral homes and helping out in situations, whatever. But it just brings you a sense of, yeah, I'm making a difference, and we can all make a difference. And I know it's hard with the way the world is right now, to try to do that. But, like I was even going to shave my head last year for the Children's Hospital. Like I was even at that point where I'll shave my head to raise funds. Yeah. So, but it's just like my husband went, you're not going to shave your hair. And I'm like, but if it's going to make a difference for the Children's Hospital and children's mental health, I'm going to do it. Right. But then it ended up some private donor came in with a massive amount of money, and they called me, Liz, you don't need to shave your head. But, it's just, it's empowering. It really is, to make a difference and to try to help and do things. And that's what you guys do every day for families. And I don't think you're aware, people in your industry are aware of the impact that you have on families.
Right.
And, you know, I am so grateful. You know, my life, unfortunately, over the last few years has had a lot of funerals, and I can't be more appreciative on the compassion and the understanding and the support that I've gotten from funeral homes and peers and everybody that works at the homes. You have such a huge impact on people's lives that you don't even realize. I don't think people in your industry get the thank yous enough.
Right.
I really don't think. I think of my mom's funeral and how incredibly difficult that day was for me. And I could never have gotten through it without the incredible support I got on, at her funeral. And I'm not just talking about guests, I'm talking about the support and the peers and the people that worked at the home, and the delicate hands, making sure I was okay every minute, just being there. Like I'm grateful for your organizations.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's so validating. Again, on behalf of funeral directors
Oh,
everywhere, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry about your mom, about your loss.
thank you. It's just, I just don't think, it's like you say, everybody that works in the funeral industry, even like you say, police, fire, and that, we don't take enough time to just say thank you.
Right.
We
I
just
agree.
we don't do that. And so this is an opportunity for me to just hug each and every one of you, because you've helped me continue my journey and not just give up.
Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, thank you for including all of us in your incredible story. And you are an inspiration and a true champion. Thank you so much. I am hugging you, and
I'm hugging you too.
oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you from all of us.
Thank you. Well, I hope we can maybe meet in person one day, or I can come there and meet everybody. It would be my honor. It really would.
Oh my gosh, we'd embrace you, and we'd probably all lift you up, and your fire is contagious. You have a spark, and thank you for letting us listen and kind of feed off your spark. Thank you for your words today. I appreciate that very much.